Good afternoon, and thank you so much for assembling on such a short timeline. We'd certainly like to thank our media partners for coming out and once again helping us to tell the wonderful story of the great things that are happening in Duncanville ISD. Now, what I'd like to do today, even though we're coming together to talk about safety and security, I'd like to start by first thanking from the Duncanville Police Department. Chief Stargell for being with us today. Also, certainly happy to have there he is, there you go, sir, thank you. Also happy to have Chief Lambert here with us also, who leads the Duncanville ISD Police Department. My name is Lamar Gorey, and I serve as Superintendent of Duncanville Public Schools, Duncanville Independent School District, the very proud superintendent, in fact, of Duncanville Independent School District. And one thing I know for sure is that parents, their first priority, even when you think about academic performance or many different things, activities or things that can happen in the schools, parents' first charge is to ensure that they're sending their children to a safe environment. And we certainly take that extremely serious here in Duncanville. Today, what we'd like to do is take an opportunity to highlight some things that we're doing in Duncanville that we do believe do create safe environments for children every day. We are aware, and I'm sure you are aware, that over the past few days, we've had numerous threats, and I want to be sure to stress that we take every threat that we receive as a school system very seriously, and we do everything we can, even based on that information, to make sure that we have protocols in place to ensure that we have a safe environment created for children. At this time, I'd like to invite Chief Lambert to come, and he will share some information with you as it relates to safety in our schools. We will then take about 10 minutes to receive your questions and hope that gives you enough information so that you can once again help us to relay a message to our community about the things that we are doing to ensure that our environments are safe. Chief Lambert.
Thank you, Dr. Gorey. Good afternoon. First off, you will notice an increased police and security presence at our schools as a precautionary measure. Now, we do want to increase the police and security in reference to campus base so that we can ensure the public as well as the students that we're doing everything we can to ensure that we have a presence to be accessible if questions need to be asked. It is important to understand that threats of violence, whether made online or in person, are taken seriously and can have a significant consequence as outlined in the Student Code of Conduct of the law. We ask for the support of our parents in reinforcing this message with your child, emphasizing the importance of reporting any concerns or threats. Reports of threats could be made. We encourage it to go on to iwatchtx.org. It is a state-based reporting website where we encourage students and parents alike, or even community members, to make online reports of violence. By calling the Duncanville ISD Police Department, which is our 24/7 line at 972-708-2270. We encourage the parents to notice their child's social and emotional well-being is being impacted by these matters and threats. We have multiple levels of counseling support in our district as far as Duncanville ISD. We have campus-based levels who are ready to speak with children or even staff members or even community alike to ensure that we are doing everything we can to protect the mental health of our students. SEL and restorative counselors at the district level. Outside counselors, including Hamilton Counseling Services, Metro Care, is something that we can utilize for each student or staff member or community members in order to make sure they're getting the mental health that they need as these threats come in. Now at this time, we can take questions.
Chief, I got a couple of quick ones. There's social media videos of student fights. Is that from your system? Are they from your system? And if they are y'all haven't got a chance to address those videos?
So every incident when it calls for active violence on campus, we do deal with those type of incidences. Now, there's nothing out of the ordinary as far as when there is acts of violence in the school. We know across the state and across the country that acts of violence in school systems, including fighting and minor fights, do occur. When they do occur at Duncanville ISD, we do get ourselves involved and we do handle the case properly.
Do we think this is because the school, just beginning of the school year and the kids being aggressive, or this is throughout the year you see this type of activity?
I believe that throughout history in the school district, in fact, when I was in high school or even in school, that acts of violence, including fighting, occurred. I don't believe that there's an increase or decrease. I believe that it's steady at this time. I do know that we just have a greater knowledge of it because the heightened state of fear that the country is involved right now when it comes to school violence.
Can you talk a little bit about the process when you all receive these threats? Because I know a lot of school districts in our area have been getting these threats this week alone, and even nationwide, really.
Sure.
Can you talk about the process of what you all go through to vet these threats, to find if they're credible or not, if
Sure.
students can't go to school?
The challenge is vetting. The challenge is vetting when it comes to threats that are being made toward the school, is that resources are being used to vet those. So we do encourage and we do make sure that we have a constant communication with local law enforcement, as well as federal agencies, to really decipher the communication, what is credible, what's not. One of the challenges of law enforcement is that when these threats do come out, is that we use our resources and we have to vet what is true, what's not true. I do know that there is copycat Instagram, Facebook, social media outlets that will post and send, and for us, it's a challenge for law enforcement, which is why we rely on communication, which is key, to speak with each other, to see what is being posted, reposted, and we do go from there.
Have you received threats in this district? Sorry, I just want to make
Sure.
that clear, because I know the surrounding ones.
Sure.
Have you guys, like, specifically this week received it?
Yes, but nothing directly toward Duncanville ISD. Now, the threats that we were receiving is something that's being recycled through local communities, is basically copy and paste at this point.
And when you say an increase in police presence, are you calling on, like, his girls and guys to come help, like local law enforcement to come?
Absolutely, and
Okay.
that's part of the partnership that we take pride in at Duncanville ISD, that we have these type of relationships with local law enforcement and Chief Stogner, to be able to provide us extra resources in order to make sure that our community is safe. Now, that comes with the federal level as well, speaking with the FBI and the federal levels at that point, and reaching out to them to see, utilizing every resource that we can and make sure we're not making decisions in a vacuum.
Can you talk about the threats that, or the kind of threats that you all seen, that kind of alerted you all to say, okay?
Well, sure. Nothing specific at this time that's really, other than any threat, whether it be minor or major, is something that we want to look into. Now, threats is something that we don't want to tolerate. Threats online towards an individual organization is something we don't tolerate at all. So there's nothing specific to us that's going to rise the level to where we're going to concentrate on this threat and not this one. We take all threats seriously.
Have you seen an increase specifically this year, or would you say that's in addition to what happened in Georgia, we usually kind of see?
Sure, and I believe that, with the country, what they're going through as far as the school shootings as well as recent with Uvalde, I believe that these type of incidents heighten the state of fear within the public and parents. Now, parents are in a state of fear of where they're sending the schools or who they're sending to the schools and what's going on in their school systems. And then when you have, on top of that, threats on social media, it just heightens that state of fear. Now, I wouldn't say it's an increase or decrease. I just believe that we're more aware of it, and it's more something that we have to be on top of.
Chief, this is kind of a tricky question. You've got a number of kids that are all over these districts, and they all kind of commingle. So how does the different districts respond to the same threat? You've got some districts that will just do a total lockdown on the campus, and you have other ones that are like, it's a non-critical threat, everything's cool.
Sure.
Go back about your business. There's no uniform response throughout many of these districts that all touch each other.
Sure, and I think that has to do with the case-by-case basis, and I think that abides on, like I say again, is a relationship that you have with law enforcement agencies, that you have to have a relationship with your local and federal agencies in order to decipher what's credible or not. I can't speak for other districts, but I know here at Duncanville ISD, we take pride in relationships with the communications that we have with our law enforcement agencies and the tools that we have to decipher through what's credible or not. Now, I can't speak for other districts, but I do know that we take every threat seriously. We try to be uniform in our decisions to make sure it's fair and concise.
Have you made any arrests this week of students?
In
Or
reference-
non-students?
That's not something I'm willing to discuss at this time.
Chief, I don't know if you answered this, but there are a bunch of fight videos going around from this area. Is any of those from this school?
Repeat your question?
I said, there's a bunch of fight videos going on social media that
Sure.
claims to be from your school district. I don't know, did you guys get to confirm, yea or nay, if those videos are from Duncanville ISD?
Footage when it comes to altercations, physical altercations in school is very common in all school districts. Now, it is very hard to tell if a particular video is within the school hallways. It's like everybody comes from the same architect, right, as far as building the school. So, but what we do is rely on communication through our community, communication through staff members to be able to validate if a particular video is within our school district or not.
I know recently there was a student that was killed following the football game. Are any of those threats by chance related to that incident?
Nothing that we see right now is in relation to anything other than threats being made against the school. I think it's just unfortunate that it's during a time that a student and a young man had lost his life, that these type of threats, I think it's overshadowing the tragedy that took place, and I think this is taking the attention away from it, but nothing is linked in reference to the incident that happened.
And can you talk about the kind of, I guess, the impact this has on Duncanville ISD police, Duncanville police, even the district, seeing, and not even just this district alone, but all these districts seeing so many threats, that impact that it has on you all when you all are trying to vet them out and, determine what's safe for students?
Absolutely, the impact is great. This is something to sugarcoat. It does thin out the resources. It does. We want to create an environment to where students and staff can come and teach and be educated in a safe environment. But as far as the district police department's involved here at Duncanville ISD, my concentration, the officer's concentration, is to make sure that when the student goes to school, they feel safe where they are. Their mental health as well as the environment is something that we would love to control to create a safe environment for them to get educated. Like I said, as far as with the threats, we have to take everything serious. And, we are not going to take a threat or any kind of information, just bury it and just say we'll move on, we're going to move on from it. We have to investigate it. We are counted upon the public to investigate such. So if I am telling the public and the police and Chief Stockton with his police department is telling the public we are going to investigate, we have to investigate. But the mental health and the community security is what's important.
And I know it's state mandated for all schools to have police officers in the building.
Yes, ma'am.
Every school in Duncanville has officers.
With the staff, so with the police department, we have security staff as well. So with the staff numbers that we have adequate security and police for every district, for every school.